Following Rasheeda's recent ups and downs, she was treated disrespectfully, but nobody anticipated this. A startling incident has fans in a frenzy, and rumors are rife online. Witnesses say Kirk totally lost control, resulting in a terrifying attack that left Rasheeda shaken. With sources close to the couple disclosing upsetting social information, what began as a heated argument swiftly turned into something much more intense. Fans are divided over whether Kirk went too far this time, what set off this explosive moment, and most importantly, how is Rasheeda faring after this ordeal? The media is exploding with reactions, and everyone is demanding answers. Defending Kirk, while some are demanding harsh punishment, the couple's past has been turbulent, but this incident could potentially turn everything upside down. Stay tuned as we reveal the whole story of what transpired behind closed doors and how they'll grab some popcorn, because this is one scandal that's too crazy to ignore. It all began as just another night for Kirk Frost and Rasheeda, and now that their closest friends and family are responding, you can see what this could mean for their future. However, witnesses stated that the couple had been having problems behind closed doors for weeks, but this time things took a dark and unexpected turn, and nobody could have predicted how quickly things would get out of hand. According to people close to the couple, tensions had been rising for some time, and on this specific evening, they reached a breaking point when an argument broke out over what appeared to be a minor issue. One of those routine arguments that couples have, but it quickly became heated and turned into a full-fledged verbal altercation. Rasheeda, who is always calm, initially attempted to defuse the situation because she didn't want things to get out of control, especially since they were in public. But Kirk was having none of it. His annoyance had been building for too long, and now it was all coming out. According to witnesses, he was pacing back and forth, his voice getting louder with each word, and Rasheeda tried to leave after realizing that things were going in a dangerous direction. But Kirk wasn't finished and blocked her path. His face was filled with rage as he continued his tirade, and by this time, those nearby had begun to notice some people pulling out. Others whispered in low voices, shocked at what they were seeing. This wasn't just another argument between a married couple. The air was different. Their phones were recording the heated exchange. Thick with tension, and the expression in Kirk's eyes sent shivers down the spines of those who watched. Then Kirk lashed out in a fit of wrath. The specifics of what transpired next are still up for debate, but one thing is certain. As the crowd struggled to comprehend what they had just witnessed, Rasheeda stumbled back, her face displaying a mixture of shock and pain. She never in a million years imagined Kirk would actually cross the line in this way. He had always been reckless and prone to letting his feelings run wild, but this time was different because it was personal, and she knew they could never get back from someone. Immediately, someone in the crowd yelled, "Kirk, what the hell, man?" Others hurried forward, some to console Rasheeda, others to confront Kirk. But by that time, the damage had been done, the cameras were rolling, and the footage began minutes later. Making rounds on social media, it didn't take long for hashtags like #ProtectRasheeda and Kirk Frost revealed to start trending. People were enraged, disgusted, and called for Kirk to be held accountable. Back at the scene, Rasheeda was still trying to digest everything her hands were shaking as she reached for her phone, her breath coming in short, uneven bursts. She needed to get out of there, needed to find a way to escape the insanity surrounding her. But Kirk, he was still standing there, looking at her, his expression inscrutable. For a single second, it almost seemed like he regretted what he had done, like he wanted to take it all back. But then, just as fast, that moment passed his jaw tighter, and without further word, he turned and walked off, disappearing into the night. The situation was far from done, but Rasheeda's closest friends had already been contacted, and they weren't going to let this slide. Scrappy, one of Kirk's oldest pals, was one of the first to learn about what happened, and he spent no time in phoning Kirk. Straight the talk was tight-heated and packed with explosives. "What the hell is up with you guy? You lost your freaking mind." Scrappy's voice was filled with disbelief and fury. But Kirk, he wasn't in the mood to discuss. He hardly even recognized Scrappy's words before disconnecting up. Meanwhile, back at home, Rasheeda was breaking down. She had isolated herself in her bedroom, away from the outer world, trying to make sense of what had just happened. The messages were pouring in her phone, ringing nonstop, with texts from friends, family, and admirers alike. Some were offering assistance, some were seeking answers. And then there were the media outlets, already running with the story, already casting Kirk as the villain. But was there more to the tale? Some insiders stated that Kirk had been under a lot of pressure lately, coping with business issues, personal struggles, and a rising sense of bitterness. Had all of that finally driven him over the line? Or was this just who he had become, a man who let his wrath devour him to the point of no return? As Rasheeda sat there, staring at the headlines, she knew something. This wasn't just about one night. This was about everything, the years of betrayal. The numerous times she had forgiven him, the way she had always been expected to hold everything together while he did whatever he wanted. And now it had come to this, a public humiliation, a moment she would never be able to forget. Because the real question remained, what was she going to do next? Would she finally walk away for good? Would she pursue charges? Or would Kirk somehow find a way to spend this to make it seem like it wasn't as horrible as people were making it out to be? The world was watching, waiting for her next move. And little did she know the storm was only just beginning as the night dried on. The chaos surrounding Kirk and Rasheeda's stunning argument only grew. Social media had already exploded with replies, and news sources wasted no time scooping up the story. By midnight, practically every major gossip blog had blogged about it, each one adding more layers to the scandal. Followers rushed Rasheeda's Instagram with messages of support, while Kirk's comment section transformed into a battleground of indignation. Yet as the world speculated, Rasheeda was in no shape to reply. She had locked herself off from everyone, retreating into her bedroom, trying to. Her phone kept vibrating with calls from friends, texts from her team, and even messages from people she hadn't spoken to in years. But she couldn't bring herself to answer, because the truth of what had happened was too overwhelming. Many things to deal with. In the meantime, Kirk had disappeared after storming out. He had become totally silent, avoiding all calls and refusing to talk to anyone, not even his closest friends, who were clueless about his whereabouts. Some people even conjectured that he had he'd himself up in a hotel someplace, attempting to avoid the criticism. Others thought he was planning how to manipulate the situation before it worsened. In every instance, his silence only made matters worse. And suddenly it seemed as though the drama wasn't already at its height when a new twist surfaced. An unnamed person who claimed to be close to Kirk sent alarming accusations to a major gossip website, stating that this wasn't the first time Kirk had lost control like this, and it was only the first time it was seen on tape. According to the source, Kirk's temper has already erupted numerous times in private, out of the public eye. Rasheeda had often defended him by sweeping things under the floor and making excuses in order to preserve their reputation. The revelation shocked the internet, and although people were already furious, everything changed at once. People were questioning every aspect of the relationship, not just Kirk. For one episode, had Rasheeda been suffering in silence for all this time? Was Kirk more dangerous than anyone realized? The rumors began to spread. People analyzed every previous dispute and stressful conversation in search of clues, including the minute-old clubs from Love and hip-hop reservist occasions where Kirk had raised his voice at Rasheeda scenes where she appeared visibly uncomfortable. This had been accumulating for years, and some fans even launched a campaign calling for Rasheeda to permanently leave Kirk, using the #ForRasheeda. However, while the internet was busy piecing together the facts, She had defended Kirk for years, sticking by him through the betrayals, cheating scandals, and persistent disrespect. She had forgiven it all, but she was still unsure of what to do next. She couldn't ignore this. It wasn't just a betrayal. Her best friend, Candy Burris, was among the first to approach her. Candy had always been protective of Rasheeda and was always the one to this time. Rasheeda was no different. "Listen to me, Candy," she stated firmly. "You can't let this slide. This isn't just about you and Kirk anymore. The entire world is watching." I know she was scratching her temples. Candy shook her head, saying, "But you don't understand if I go public. If I say something, it's over. Everything we built, everything we worked for, it's gone the second he put his hands on you." That statement struck Rasheeda like a wave. She had persuaded herself for years that everything would be all right as long as she could keep the drama under wraps and keep things together. But now there was no more hiding that the world already knew, and she had to make a decision. Meanwhile, Kirk remained hidden, but that didn't stop others from trying to find him. Rumors began to circulate that he had been seen drinking excessively at a club in Atlanta, behaving as though nothing had happened. Some even asserted that he had been spotted with another woman, which only served to fan the flames. Was he truly that indifferent to the harm he had caused? And did he not care about it? When it got even worse, a voicemail leak appeared, revealing that someone had obtained a voicemail that Kirk had purportedly sent to a friend soon after the incident. In the tape, he sounded irritated and angry, but not with himself. Kirk's voice could be heard stating, "She knows how to get under my skin, and now she's acting like the victim," while he was accusing Rasheeda of pushing me to this point. The response was swift. We were incensed that Kirk was attempting to portray himself as the true victim rather than accept responsibility. The criticism was swift and severe, and even celebrities began criticizing him for his actions. Tamer Braxton tweeted, "Ain't there is no justification for what Kirk did, and Rasheeda deserves better." Other celebrities, including those from Love, hip-hop, and beyond, also voiced their opinions. But as the outcry mounted, Rasheeda stayed mute because she knew that whatever she said next would ascertain everything. If she had spoken out against Kirk, their marriage would have ended forever. But if she had remained silent, people would have assumed she was defending him, and she couldn't allow that to occur. The following morning, she decided her hands were shaking a little, but her voice was clear as she picked up her phone, took a big breath, and pushed the Go Live button on Instagram. As soon as her face appeared on the screen, hundreds of people flocked in to hear what she had to say. "I wish I could tell you that everything you've heard is false, but it's not Kirk. He crossed the line, and I can't act like it didn't happen." Was steady. "I know you'll have a lot of questions," she started, her eyes shining with emotion. Rasheeda took a long breath and collected her thoughts. "I stood by this man. I've defended him. I've forgiven him. I've tried to see the good in him," she said, as the chat burst with supportive responses. She ended the live stream, and the internet abruptly crashed again. "I'm not sure what will happen next, but I do know that I'm done protecting someone who wouldn't do the same for me." The internet was in a tremendous panic as soon as Rasheeda's Instagram live ended. Within minutes, her heartfelt speech was published on all of the big blogs, and videos of her shaking voice were all over Twitter and TikTok in the Ashfest. For the first time in her career, fans and other celebrities showed their support for Rasheeda, who became viral almost immediately. She was no longer just a reality TV star embroiled in another scandal. Instead, she was suddenly the embodiment of tenacity that people looked up to. Her courage for speaking up at last, but they were also worried about what would happen next. Would she file for divorce? Would Kirk react? And most importantly, would she be safe, since Kirk was still nowhere to be found? Discovered that his Instagram was entirely silent, no posts, no stories, which was uncommon for him because usually when controversy arose, he would be quick to respond with cryptic remarks or attempt to reframe the situation to his advantage. According to people close to Kirk, his silence was growing deeper this time, but it ended hours after Rasheeda's life when an exclusive report appeared on a popular gossip website. He was incensed at how Rasheeda had Kirk allegedly told his pals that she had fabricated everything to make him seem bad, and that she was playing the victim since she knew the truth, rather than offering an apology or accepting responsibility. The public would support her, and the outrageousness of these allegations infuriated fans even more, who began researching every scandal Kirk had ever been a part of, from his years of adultery to the notorious time he surreptitiously performed a DNA test on their son behind Rasheeda's back. The internet exploited a specific love and hip-hop reservist footage in which Kirk advised Rasheeda to have an abortion when she was pregnant as evidence that Kirk had never given her means any real respect. Fans demanded that Rasheeda cut Kirk off entirely when TikToks and threads detailing his poisonous behavior inundated social media. However, in a surprising turn of events, security camera footage purportedly captured on camera appeared online. The grainy tape, which was anonymously uploaded to a celebrity gossip page, seems to capture Kirk and Rasheeda fighting outside a restaurant on the night of the altercation. In the video, Kirk was seen grasping Rasheeda's. He lifted his hand as though he was going to strike her as she attempted to draw away, but the footage ended before it could verify whether he had made contact. Fans were incensed and demanded that Kirk be banned permanently right away. Some even called for legal action, stating that Rasheeda should issue a restraining order against him. However, Kirk remained hidden until he finally spoke up in a badly shot, low-quality Instagram video, denying everything and seemed extremely anxious. He said, "I know you've been hearing a lot of strange stuff about me, but let me say first of all, I love my wife, and I would never touch Rasheeda in the way that others do, taking clips out of context, changing the narrative, and attempting to discredit a black guy. I made mistakes, of course, but this is not what you believe it's Kirk." He then attempted to justify himself, claiming that the confrontation was exaggerated and that Rasheeda was emotional during her live appearance. He also said that the security tape was deceptive and that people were attempting to make him the antagonist, but nobody believed it. Fans bombarded the comments, accusing him of being a narcissist, a manipulator, and a liar. Even celebs weren't holding back. Tokyo Vanity said, "Ain't no out of context. You got caught." "We're not going to fall for that," even if Tamar Braxton, who had previously spoken out, went L on Instagram to call Kirk out again. "Take responsibility like a grown man," Masa Kisha commented. "The boldness of you is truly gone, in my opinion. Act like no one saw you grab that girl boy." By this time, the damage was done, and Kirk's reputation was ruined. His attempt to repair the damage had only made it worse. While Rasheeda was behind the scenes, she was still figuring out what to do next. In addition to the pressure from the public, producers were calling her to ask if she would be willing to talk about the situation on Love and Hip Hop. For the first time in a long time, Rasheeda wasn't sure whether she wanted to do that, even if they knew this scandal was a ratings goldmine and they wanted to profit from it. This wasn't just reality TV drama anymore. This was her actual life, and it was disintegrating in public, and her family and friends were split as well. Some, like Candy Burris, were pressuring her to leave Kirk for a decent one, while others, like some of their mutual acquaintances, advised her to consider her options carefully before making any decisions. Major choices. Everyone's main concern was if Rasheeda would eventually leave Kirk. Then a surprising court document that was purportedly published online revealed that Rasheeda had already consulted, if this was accurate, Their marriage was already in terrible peril prior to this public outburst, as fans instantly conjectured that Kirk had learned about Ras's divorce lure just days before the incident occurred. Planned to leave him, which is what started the fight. Some fans speculated that Kirk had reacted because he saw he was losing control of Rasheeda, while others questioned whether this was Rasheeda's last breaking point. Been preparing her escape all along, but as the internet discussed it, Rasheeda hadn't confirmed or denied anything, so her next course of action remained a mystery. All that was known was that a significant event was going to occur. The world was waiting for her response, and it was only a matter of time until she did, given the rumors that she was consulting a divorce lawyer. Would Kirk manage to persuade her to stay, or would she ultimately terminate things for good? The internet was ablaze with hypotheses, and fans were divided. Some were certain that Kirk and Rasheeda's relationship was over, while others were afraid she would still give him another opportunity. For the following few days, Rasheeda stayed entirely offline. No posts, no Instagram lives, no cryptic tweets, while the media was engrossed in conjecture. Fans impatiently awaited her to break her silence, but she kept silent while Kirk stayed low to prevent any more criticism. But the damage was already done, and companies that had previously collaborated with him began to distance themselves, including a significant endorsement contract with a men's fashion business. Trademarks suddenly vanished from his biography, and even the owners of the Frost Bistro, the eatery he and Rasheeda co-own, took his name off all advertising materials. At this point, Kirk was losing everything, including his reputation, business, and perhaps even his marriage, until the last nail in the coffin came. A new revelation from a reliable industry insider said that VH1 executives were thinking of completely severing their relationship with Kirk. The network, was the insider claims, that he was furious about the unfavorable attention he was drawing to love and hip-hop, and that producers had been frantically trying to decide what to do with the plot, while reality TV has always been driven by drama. At first, there were discussions of removing him from next episodes, since the network did not want to be linked to such a scandal. But as the outcry grew more intense, it soon became the most shocking revelation was that, although it was obvious that Kirk's tenure on the show would be permanently ending, Rasheeda was being offered a solo spin-off show that would center on her life after Kirk, her enterprises, and her path as a fan went crazy at the concept of a single woman navigating the entertainment industry, and many were already demanding Kirk's termination. The prospect of Rasheeda succeeding without him made matters even more tense. But before any of this was verified, when Rasheeda eventually spoke up, and everyone paused to listen, she then went back to Instagram and shared a single image of herself standing by herself in front of a mirror with the caption, "New Beginnings." It was all she wrote, but it was all it took for the internet to go viral. Within hours, the post had millions of likes, and fans and celebrities flooded her comments with supportive messages. Sierra responded, "You got this cis walk in your shoes." Gabrielle Union responded, "Proud of you, keep shining." Cardi B, a longtime fan of Rasheeda, commented, "Time has been waiting for you to boss up. I love you, Queen." Even so, it was obvious that the world appeared to be on Rasheeda's side.